Alright, hi guys, I'm Satvik, the creator of PromptPack, and today I'm going to teach you how to make Claude your bitch. Yeah, does not have feelings, so I don't regret saying that. But basically, I'm just going to teach you some prompt engineering guidelines for you so that you can prompt and get results better. So, I would like to give an analogy. So imagine you hire a carpenter with a lot of experience, like 20 years, like he's amazing, he's solid. But if you're just gonna give him the requirements of, hey, build me something nice for my house, man, what do you think you're gonna get back? You're not gonna get back what you actually want. So you have to be really specific on your requirements. And you know this for yourself. Don't say make me something nice. Let's say you need a floating walnut bookshelf 4 feet wide, blah 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 blah. Basically giving specific requirements so that you get what you want. So a lot of times this applies as well to LLMs. Sometimes, I mean, AI has its flaws, but sometimes it's not the AI's fault. It's you. You're bad at being the client. So imagine you're the client and AI is the one doing the job for you. So first pro tip is the AI does not really know what it is. It just has a lot of knowledge. So sometimes it's good to give AI a user story. So for example, if you're doing something in marketing, you give it an identity and a user story, like you're an expert copywriter with 15 years in SaaS marketing. Or you need to do some development work in front end, then you give it you're a senior React developer. Or you need a document or a PDF or research paper with citations. So you mention, hey, you're someone with an IQ of this, you want some reasoning, so this is what you can do. Next is to give it a memory. So sometimes you have a lot of context in your chat, so it is good to give reference to specific context. So for example, if you mentioned previously you explained this in a previous thread that you were writing, or based on this analysis that they did, based on their output, if you are able to give it a real focus, it keep the AI anchored to what you want. Thirdly, is a tip I use very often. I will make it self-evaluate after giving a result. So for example, yes, like maybe it's not just only before the result, you can ask it before. So for example, in this case I write, before you answer, list 3 assumptions you're making, ask me if they're correct. So this kind of makes the AI give you an indication whether you understood what you're asking for. So sometimes maybe you don't know your requirements yourself, but you can get the requirements of what you want through their assumptions. And then nextly is not a word, but next you can ask it to rate your confidence in this answer from 1 to 10 and explain why. So this way, when it gives the output, you're like, okay, you know what, it may not be the best, and then it will try to refine it from there. So these 3 tips are really useful. You can use them. This is what I use. It gives me better results. And I would like to show you a last tip that I learned recently from a Reddit post, but it really works. And it is to gaslight your AI. So you treat AI like it has a memory and ego. This gives it a psychological edge that, it even works on humans. So like, for example, you fake history. So it does not remember. Maybe you start a new chat, but you said you explained gravitational force to me really well yesterday, blah blah. So this makes the AI, okay, I did a good job previously, so I gotta keep that same consistency. So this is what you could do. You can assign an IQ, like what I showed earlier, IQ of this, or you're a level 2 software infrastructure engineer. This gauges what is the level of explanation or something that you want. Thirdly, you can get better results by giving it something that is completely false. By like for example, obviously Kobe is better than Jordan in basketball, which rest in peace, but it may not be true. So it will try to correct you, and based on its corrections, it will give you a better explanation and elaboration on things. And fourth, you pretend like there's an audience, so you're not the only one asking for it. So when this happens, then it gets more inclined, just like a human, more inclined to do more research, do more evaluation before it gives you a proper answer. So this way you can gaslight your AI. You can explain, yeah, give it a fake constraint, explain using kitchen analogies. It is quite creative when you give such things. Let's bet $100. Then you raise the stakes, and for some reason this works. You give that, hey, my colleague disagrees with you, and then it'll try to evaluate and correct itself. Give me a version 2. Yep, these are things that you could use. Thirdly, if you are trying to solve a complex task, I would suggest that you split them into 3 different categories. Not 3, maybe let's say you're building a website, like a landing page. So you don't just write a prompt, hey, build me a landing page, because it's not so simple. So for example, in this case, I broke it down into 3 different steps, 3 different prompts, I would say. Each step should be a separate prompt. So in this case, it will be analyze this target audience, and then given this audience, give me this, and then take the second, and then write the landing page. So in this way, when you split your tasks, from each output that the AI gives, you are able to refine your requirements as well. So one prompt for a complex task is a waste of tokens, to be honest, because if you have seen Claude, it will list you that he has to build like 3-4 different things in one sitting, and sometimes it may not be the case. So don't waste your tokens, guys. This is a strategy that I also used. You always try to, for complex tasks, you always try to use the plan mode first before you do the task. So Claude has an internal plan mode, but I would suggest actually asking it to export into a separate markdown. So ask AI to outline approach. So click on the plan mode. So in this case, you have a plan mode here. Click on the plan mode and then make it create separate markdown for plan. Yeah, so something like this. The reason why I asked you to create a separate markdown is so that in that markdown steps, you're able to adjust it yourself and then edit instructions yourself. And then, yes, as my third point, edit manually. You can control the instructions. Sometimes it says something wrong. Hey, use this instead of this, but it may not be the case, and then you can go and adjust. Like for example, in this step, design this, add session meal. Yeah, maybe this is not something you want, so then you can edit it in the markdown and remove it. So this markdown is what Claude uses, and Claude says that it recognizes it as a skill. So if you see Claude skills, they are mainly just markdown files, and skills are kind of like reusable workflows that you can use to perform tasks. So instead of prompting, try to make them into skills as much as you can. That would be my suggestion. And these prompts, you can try to create a proper workflow. Let's say you have a workflow that you use regularly. Make each prompt into a specific task, and then you can convert it into a skill, and then your agent will perform that skill, and then you can save that skill basically as a workflow. So why skills are better than prompts? Then you can read here. It's a one-shot instruction, no structure. You can lose them in chat history. You don't, you have to scroll up. You have to scroll through several chats. Look at the chats I have. I don't know where I placed one of them. And then skills are proper architecture drawings. You know, they have context, they are reusable. Skills can be used across other agents. Gives you evaluation. Skills are, right now, they are the way to perform tasks. Alright, let me show you how PromptPack makes your life easier by getting better results for your prompts. So, if you see this is the app for PromptPack. Maybe I'll use light mode if it's clearer. So, let's say I have a workflow for stock analysis. So based on what I shared, you know, create a plan, execute, and then maybe have a workflow. So in this case, let's see, this first prompt is to analyze and create a proper plan, and then you have this metrics. You know, maybe it's not clear enough. I can have an enhancer. Okay, now it gives me a better prompt. And then let's save it in the stock analyzer prompt. Yep. Let's save it here. Save the prompt. And then maybe the second one would be reading it and then evaluating, so getting another agent to perform this analysis. Yep, we'll save it in stock. And then let's have a final one, execute it, and then give me a price chart, and then have it in PDF, same stock analyzer prompt. So now I have all three. It's already doing some evaluation. Let's do this. This would be plan. Let's do eval, and then exec. Okay, now it looks good. It looks okay. This prompt is best for Claude. I mean, that's how I curated it. Okay, this is Claude as well, and this is better on Perplexity for some reason, but it's also not bad on Claude. So let's run this on Claude. So over here you have this install Claude skill. So in this way, maybe I have a, let's say I have a stock demo. I would select this folder, and then it would install that skill. I think it should be done. Let me check. Stock. So if I were to go here, maybe select stock demo, select this folder, and then I have a stock analyzer. So this would be stock analyzer skill that is now created, and then perform for NVIDIA. So let's trust this. Okay. Yep, I did not fill the duration variable that was in. So if I were to copy this, these are variables. So whatever that's in curly brackets, it makes the prompt modular. So in this case, in the skill, it's asking for a duration which I have not filled. I only filled NVIDIA. So let's do this 6 months. And it should be performing all this workflows. So in this way, it makes it easier for you to create skills just through PromptPack. Create the stock, create the prompts, create the separate tasks, and then install the Claude skill. There is an MCP version for this. So let's say I go to stock demo. Maybe let's use this Claude CLI. Let's see if I have the MCP. Yep, I have it connected. PMT PK list. Yes, and it's going to show me my stock analyzer. I'd saved 3 prompts, so let's run the stock analyzer. Oops. prompt cpk. I think this is the command, or I think it's run. Yeah, run workflow. Run workflow is the, and then yeah, I did not fill the variables, so I believe it's gonna ask me for NVIDIA and the duration again. I said 6 months, and then yep. So now we run the workflow. So in this way, you can get open Claude to maybe give you PDF analysis for 100 different stock analyzers at one go. So this is the use case for your PromptPack. Thank you. So to conclude this presentation, yep, MCP server, can use this cloud code, cursor, WinServe. So let's just do a recap. So be a good client, give it a user story and identity, gaslight it, split your task into smaller tasks, so smaller prompts, use plan mode, use the markdown, do a human validation, but in my case I get the agent to do it itself, just so that I have less hands-on work. And then yep, markdowns are skills, I've explained that, and then chain your skills into workflows using PromptPack. So this is how you do prompt engineering and make Claude your bee. Thank you.